How do you make a movie with great actress, great comic, a respected director and still lose the audience? That's exactly what happened to Supergirl. But how does a movie with all those ingredients still flop? The answer isn't bad quality or something. It's that the movie failed to make the audience feel. For the past year, DC fans actually had something they hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. Superman proved James Gunn's new DC universe could work. Critics liked it, fans liked it, suddenly people weren't making DC's dead jokes anymore. They were excited to see what comes next. Then came Supergirl. On paper, this should have been an easy win. One of DC's most loved modern comics, a talented director, a fresh lead actress, a darker space adventure instead of another save the world movie, and yet it barely made any noise. What's weird is that the people aren't calling it a terrible movie. They're calling it fine. And for a superhero movie with a massive budget, fine is something the worst thing you can be. Here's the biggest mistake people make when talking about this movie. They think audience rejected it because it was slow. No, people love slow movies. Oppenheimer is basically a 3 hour of people talking. The Batman takes its time, even Dune spends long snaps just building its world. Slow isn't the problem, but being unengaging is. That's a huge difference. Every slow movie still keeps your brain asking questions, like what's going to happen? Who can I trust? Where is this leading? Supergirl doesn't always do that. Instead, it's constantly giving you something new to discover. It often circles back to the same emotional point again and again. Kara is hurt, Kara is angry, Kara feels alone. The first time it's powerful, the fifth time you already get it. So instead of moving forward, the movie starts feeling like it's walking in a circles. And that's especially strange because Kara herself isn't the problem. The problem is the script didn't always know what to do with this version of Kara. Instead of letting her personality evolve naturally, the movie kept reminding us that she's broken. Eventually, it stops feeling like a character development and starts feeling like a character maintenance. Then there's the villain. Think about the best superhero villains. They actually have one thing in common. You remember them. Not because they're stronger than the hero, but they have certain characters who stay in your mind. The Joker, the Loki, Thanos, even Lex Luthor. Whether you agree with them or not, you enjoy watching them. But Kramer never reached that level. He's cruel, he pushes the story forward, but he doesn't really own the scene. So every time the movie cuts back to him, it feels less like building tension and more like waiting for Kara's next scene. And the reason the movie struggled is expectation. The marketing sold people a giant DC adventure. Epic planets, space battle, Lobo, a darker Superman. But the actual movie is much smaller. It's really about grief, trauma, revenge, healing. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. In fact, it's probably one of the movie's strength. The problem is the audience walked into the theater expecting one experience and got completely a different one. It's like ordering for an action movie and getting a quiet road trip playlist. On the other hand, comic fans had another issue. Many people loved Woman of Tomorrow because it felt different from typical superhero stories. It had beautiful narration, a unique perspective, a lot of philosophical moments. The movie kept the basic journey, but trims away some of things that made the comics feel so special. So comic readers felt it wasn't faithful enough. Meanwhile, new audience had nothing to compare it to. Ironically, the film ended up sitting right between two groups instead of fully satisfying either. But I don't think any of those are the biggest reason it underperformed. I think the biggest problem is much simpler. The movie never becomes something people need to recommend. Think about the last movie you loved. You probably texted someone, posted about, or sent clips, told your friend that they had to watch it. Blockbusters actually survive on that. Not advertising, not trailer, it's the people. Word of mouth is basically free marketing. And Supergirl never generated enough excitement for the chain reaction to happen. Instead, conversation sounded more like, yeah, it is a good movie. Nobody rushes to buy a ticket because someone said it is okay. And that's becoming a much bigger problem for superhero movies. A few years ago, being decent was enough. But today, streaming exists. People have endless choice. If your movie isn't amazing, people can wait. Maybe they will catch it on a streaming in few months, or maybe they won't eventually. That's why being good isn't always good enough anymore. Supergirl had solid acting, interesting ideas, great production, but movies aren't judged by a checklist. They're judged by one simple question. Did you had fun watching it? And for a lot of people, the answer wasn't this movie is bad. It was something much more dangerous. It was like I just wasn't that engaged. And in today's movie industry, that might be the biggest villain of all.